I was born, delicate, fragile, a simple flower of pale petals swaying in the wind. To the eye, I was harmless. To the touch, I was soft. Yet within my green pod lay a secret, a bitter milk, white as bone, thick as sorrow. That milk, my sap, could silence pain, lull the mind into dreams, and carry souls into both peace and ruin. I am the opium poppy, and I have lived in the shadows of empires, the breath of soldiers, the veins of kings. I have been mercy and poison, medicine and curse. Listen closely, for my story is not just about me. It is about you and the choices you made when you tasted my gift. My roots first broke soil in the ancient lands of Mesopotamia. There, trembling hands touched my pod, cut into my flesh, and drank the tears I bled. They called me Hull Gil, the joy plant. With me, they healed broken bones, soothed mothers in childbirth, and eased the agony of the dying. Pharaohs were buried with me in their tombs, so even in death, they would not suffer. In Greece, poets whispered of me as a gift of Hypnos, god of sleep, and Morpheus, god of dreams. Yes, I was mercy in the form of a flower. But mercy is a dangerous gift. Mercy can be addictive. Soon, they no longer came to me only for suffering. They came for escape, for oblivion, for pleasure. They smoked me in lamps, mixed me with wine, slipped me into honey. Their eyes glazed with visions, their hearts beat slower, their sorrows drowned in my milk. They called me a healer, but I was becoming something else, a seducer. I learned quickly that pain is not the only prison. Desire, hunger, longing, these can chain the soul more tightly than suffering. And so I spread, carried in secret jars across deserts and seas. My petals were forgotten, my sap worshipped. I was no longer just a plant, I was temptation incarnate. When men discovered gold, they fought. When they discovered me, they enslaved. My sap became more valuable than silk, more desired than spices, more powerful than weapons. I traveled the Silk Road, hidden in caravans, until I reached the far lands of the East. There, in China, I sank my claws deep. 1 billion lungs filled with my smoke. 1 billion nights surrendered to my dreams. But power invites resistance. The emperors tried to ban me, to burn me, to cast me into rivers. Yet my merchants were ruthless. The British sailed across oceans with ships full of my pods. They forced me into China's veins, and when the emperors resisted, cannons thundered. The Opium Wars were born. Cities burned, rivers turned crimson, and all for me, a flower's milk. Imagine it. Thousands dead, dynasties shattered, treaties signed in blood, all because men could not resist what dripped from my wounds. Yet even as I tore nations apart, doctors clutched me like salvation. They called me medicine. They ground my dried sap into powders, mixed me into tinctures, pressed me into glass bottles labeled cure for pain. Morphine, laudanum, codeine. These were my new names, my refined masks. Soldiers carried syringes of me into battlefields. I dulled screams as bullets tore flesh, calmed trembling bodies in hospital beds. Yes, I saved lives. I healed, but each drop carried a shadow. Morphine soothed, then enslaved. Laudanum eased, then consumed. Soon the healers themselves trembled with shaking hands, unable to let me go. They called it the soldier's disease, but I called it what it was: dependence, addiction, chains invisible but unbreakable. But humans were not content with what I gave. They twisted me in their laboratories, reshaped my milk into something sharper, deadlier. From my heart they carved heroin. At first, they called it a miracle, a cure for morphine addiction, harmless, even safe for children. How foolish they were. For heroin bound tighter than any chain before. Needles pierced veins, and entire cities fell into silence, their people lost to a darkness deeper than death. I never asked for this. I was only a flower. But humans made me their poison, their plague. I healed their wounds, and then I owned their souls. By the 20th century, my fields stretched across the earth. Afghanistan's valleys glowed white with my blossoms. Myanmar's hills burned with my pods. I became currency, power, war. Warlords, smugglers, governments, all fought for me. Men killed for me. Men died for me. Blood watered my roots, and still I grew. Soldiers with rifles guarded my fields. Children with bare feet collected my pods. My milk dripped into markets, then into veins, then into graves. I had become an empire without a throne, a kingdom without a crown. No king, no president, no emperor commanded the loyalty I commanded. And still, they called me a flower. Even as I drowned millions, hospitals still whispered my name. Surgeons pressed morphine into veins before the knife. Mothers clutched codeine bottles to silence their children's coughs. Cancer patients prayed for me at night, for I alone could silence their torment. Do you see it now? I am not evil. I am not good. I am both. A paradox in petals. I heal. I destroy. I save. I enslave. Humans gave me this fate, this mask of mercy and malice. And I played my role, century after century. Now, your world drowns in what I began. My sap's children, opioids, spill from factories, from pills, from pharmacies. Oxycodone, fentanyl, synthetic heirs to my throne, stronger, deadlier, colder. And still, my name is whispered in back alleys, smoked in glass pipes, pressed into shaking veins. I never asked for war. I never asked to be worshipped. I never asked to be feared. I am a flower, fragile, beautiful, and yet I became your master, your curse, your endless hunger. So remember me when you see a simple blossom swaying in the wind, soft and innocent under the sun. Remember what drips from my veins. I am the flower that soothed kings and shattered empires, the bloom that healed your pain and chained your freedom, the petal that whispered dreams and devoured them whole. I am the opium poppy, the flower of mercy, the flower of death, and I will never be forgotten.